The world holds its breath. Across continents, millions are glued to their screens waiting for news that could shift the course of history. On this stark August day in 2025, two men meet in a place that is both American and almost Russian: Alaska. The land itself seems to stand at a crossroads, much like the world. A land of ice and fire, of long nights and fleeting summers, a fitting stage for this drama. Here, nature's extremes echo the tension of the moment. The air is thin and cold even in August. The landscape is unforgiving, mirroring the political climate, harsh, unpredictable, and fraught with danger. Here, on the edge of the Western world, President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin sit down to discuss the fate of Ukraine. Their arrival is watched by the world, every movement scrutinized. Ukraine, a country bleeding, fighting for its soul. Its people endure hardship and loss, clinging to hope as the world debates their future. This meeting is more than a negotiation, it's a spectacle, a signal, a moment that could define the century. The eyes of history are fixed on Anchorage. The choice of Anchorage is deliberate, not Washington, not Moscow, but a symbolic, neutral ground. It is a place where East meets West, and where old rivalries are confronted. American soil, but a stone's throw from Russia, a reminder of shared, fraught history. The proximity is both practical and symbolic, a bridge and a barrier. The summit is held in Anchorage, a city built on resilience, surrounded by wilderness that humbles even the powerful. Its people know what it means to endure. The mountains stand as silent witnesses, the glaciers creep forward, indifferent to men's machinations. Nature's patience contrasts with human urgency. The stakes are impossibly high, the future of international law, sovereignty, and world order hangs in the balance. Every decision here could ripple across generations. The war in Ukraine has raged for over 3 years, settling into a brutal stalemate. The cost in lives and hope grows with each passing day. Sanctions have bitten into Russia, but not broken Putin's will. The Russian people endure hardship, but the Kremlin remains defiant. Western aid keeps Ukraine fighting, but without victory. The world is tired, alliances are fraying, and patience is wearing thin. Trump, back in the White House, promised to end endless wars. This meeting is the fulfillment or the beginning of a new, more dangerous chapter. The stakes for his legacy are immense. It's a high-stakes gamble, a poker game with nations as chips. The drama is palpable, the risks almost unimaginable. Motorcades slice through Anchorage's quiet streets, security is suffocating. The city holds its breath, aware of the gravity of what unfolds within its borders. The global media has descended, turning this remote corner into the center of the universe. Every second is broadcast, every rumor magnified. Every glance, handshake, and word will be dissected for meaning. The world's analysts and leaders wait for any sign of progress or disaster. Is this the beginning of peace or appeasement? The hopes and fears of millions rest on the outcome. A masterstroke of diplomacy or betrayal of a democratic ally? The consequences will echo far beyond these walls. The questions hang heavy in the Alaskan air, as cold and sharp as the wind off the Cook Inlet. The uncertainty is almost tangible. The world waits for an answer. In every capital, in every home, people wonder what tomorrow will bring. It waits for a sign. Time seems to slow, the suspense building with every passing minute. It waits for the two men to emerge from seclusion and announce their decision. The moment of truth is at hand. The fate of Ukraine, and perhaps the world order, hangs in the balance. The world watches, breathless, as history is written in real time. The timeline to this moment is a story of calculation and opportunity, a convergence of ambition and timing that has been quietly building beneath the surface for months. The meeting was announced just weeks ago, a surprise that sent shockwaves through Europe and beyond, igniting speculation and anxiety in capitals across the globe. It followed back-channel communications, bypassing traditional diplomacy, Trump and Putin's preferred style, where secrecy and personal rapport take precedence over protocol. They believe in strongman-to-strongman conversation, where power is measured not just in words, but in presence and resolve. Anchorage was chosen for its ambiguity, American, yet looking out at Russia, a place that blurs the line between East and West. Alaska's history is significant. Once Russian, now a bastion of American power, its past echoing in every negotiation held here. For Putin, meeting here is a reminder of past weakness and a stage to project strength, to reclaim a sense of lost influence. The Bering Strait, once the ice curtain, now hints at new cooperation as the Arctic opens, offering both risk and opportunity for both nations. This summit whispers of a new era, or a cynical ploy to mask a brutal redrawing of Europe's map as old certainties dissolve. The ambiguity is the point, a deliberate choice to keep the world guessing about intentions and outcomes. Unlike past summits in European capitals, Anchorage signals a pivot away from old alliances, a break from the familiar stagecraft of diplomacy. Trump is telling the world American foreign policy is no longer bound by old rules, that the playbook is being rewritten in real time. He meets Putin on his own terms, far from the eyes of traditional allies, in a setting designed for secrecy and control. The message: a new world order is being negotiated, starting here, in a place that is both remote and central to global power. The stakes are global, the symbolism unmistakable, as every gesture is scrutinized for meaning. The world's balance is shifting, and the consequences will ripple far beyond this room. And it starts on the edge of the world, where history is once again being written. At the center of this storm are two men who see the world in similar ways. Trump trusts his instincts, disdains the foreign policy establishment, and sees international relations as transactions. For him, Ukraine is a problem to be solved quickly, regardless of the cost to others. Putin, forged in the KGB, seeks to reverse Russia's humiliation and reassert its power. For him, Ukraine is an existential struggle against the West. Conspicuously absent Ukraine, President Zelensky and his government are not here. Their fate is being decided by others, a chilling echo of darker eras. Ukraine's sovereignty is a bargaining chip in a larger game. The ghost at this table is the principle of self-determination. For Ukrainians, this is a profound betrayal. They are spectators to their own destiny. The Trump administration's agenda is simple: stop the war, halt the financial drain, and declare peace. This likely means a ceasefire, a new line of contact, and reduced U.S. commitments to Europe. Trump wants to reorient U.S.-Russia relations, hoping to pull Moscow away from Beijing. For Putin, the goal is legitimizing conquest, securing annexed Ukrainian territories, and neutralizing Ukraine. He wants sanctions lifted and the West to accept a new European map. The sticking points are monumental: recognizing annexed territory violates international law. For America's allies, this is an existential threat. Security guarantees for Ukraine will be fiercely contested. Other issues, arms control, Arctic cooperation, cyber norms, are bargaining chips. The details hidden in the fine print could have devastating global repercussions. This summit marks the latest chapter in the long, strange relationship between Trump and Putin, a dynamic that has fascinated and unsettled the world for years. Their 2018 Helsinki summit set the tone for future encounters. Trump appeared to accept Putin's denials over U.S. intelligence, a move that alarmed American allies and emboldened adversaries across the globe. Putin's psychological statecraft was on full display. Trump, meanwhile, seemed eager for approval and validation from his Russian counterpart. Trump has often openly admired Putin's strength, repeatedly questioned NATO's value, and cast doubt on America's long-standing commitments to its allies. This rhetoric closely aligns with Putin's strategic goal of weakening the transatlantic alliance and sowing division among Western nations. Now, in Alaska, the stakes are even higher, not just about past interference, but about the future direction and security of an entire nation. Trump believes his deal-making skills can solve the unsolvable, confident that his approach will yield results where others have failed. Putin knows he faces a leader skeptical of his own experts and desperate for a political win, making the outcome even more unpredictable. The ghosts of Helsinki still loom over Anchorage, casting a long shadow on the proceedings. The world watches anxiously. Will this be a repeat of history, with Ukraine's fate and the balance of global power at stake? The stakes have never been higher, and the world holds its breath. As the leaders meet, the war in Ukraine grinds on with relentless brutality. The front lines are a hellscape of trench warfare, reminiscent of World War I. Russian forces push for leverage ahead of the talks, seizing territory to strengthen Putin's hand. The message to Trump: to stop this, make concessions. Ukraine fights with courage, using Western weapons and asymmetric tactics to strike back. But anxiety grows in Kyiv. Will U.S. aid be cut off? The war is now fought on battlefields, in economies, and in morale. Russia's economy is strained, but mobilized. Ukraine's is shattered, surviving on Western aid. The demographic toll is catastrophic, especially for Ukraine. This is the grim reality behind the diplomatic theater in Alaska. As talks conclude, the world braces for the outcome. The best-case scenario, a genuine peace deal, Russian withdrawal and Ukrainian neutrality, unlikely but possible. More likely, a Munich 2.0, with Trump conceding to Putin, freezing the conflict and rewarding aggression. Ukraine could be forced to cede territory, the West's credibility shattered, or talks could collapse, leading to renewed war and Ukraine left alone. Another possibility, strategic ambiguity, a vague statement, no real change, and continued attrition. Each scenario carries profound risks. The world waits, uncertain. The fate of Ukraine and the global order hangs in the balance. The next move will shape history. The Alaska summit's impact will ripple far beyond Ukraine. For NATO allies, it's a moment of crisis, America negotiating over their heads. A deal rewarding Putin could embolden further Russian aggression and force allies to rethink their defenses. China is watching, drawing lessons for Taiwan. If the US sacrifices Ukraine, what does that mean for its other commitments? Conversely, a pivot to anti-China policy could accelerate a Sino-Russian alliance. The Global South sees a deal bypassing international law as proof the rules-based order is fragile. Regional powers may feel emboldened to use force. The summit's outcome will shape the future of democracy versus autocracy. The stakes are about more than territory, they're about the world's governing ideals. We stand at a precipice. The meeting in Anchorage is over, but the world is changed. The weight of that handshake, the words spoken in private, will be felt for generations. We are left to decipher what was truly given and lost. Was this peacemaking or betrayal? Ukraine's future now hangs by a thread. The outcome will determine if their sacrifice was in vain. The summit reveals the fragility of the international order. The Alaska summit may be remembered as the moment the old rules no longer mattered. The path forward could lead to peace, or a more dangerous world. The choices made in Alaska will echo for decades. The world watches and history is written.